Let's take you back to Cape Town now, where DA Leader John Steenhuisen is set to file criminal charges against Deputy President Paul Mashatile at the Cape Town police station. I believe he is briefing the media outside the police station. Let's take you live there now.
Faces allegations for having misled Parliament for failing to declare his use of various properties, including a 37 million rand waterfall house in Gauteng. In addition to this, Mashatile also breached the code of conduct by failing to act in all respects in a manner that is consistent with the integrity of the office of his government. Given that the appointment of the Deputy President is entirely at the discretion of the President himself, the DA last week submitted a dossier of the allegations to the Presidency. We gave the President until SONA to make an announcement in regard about what he intended to do with these serious allegations. To date, the President has remained completely unresponsive to any of the allegations and refuses to answer questions around the suitability or otherwise of his appointment as the Deputy President of Mr. Paul Mashatile. It comes as no surprise to us that the President has once again failed to act against members of his own party who are facing these particular serious charges. It follows the fact that 97 members of his party, including members of the executive, who were named in the Zondo Commission report, remain in office without any consequences for their acts of omission and commission, whilst they were entrusted with acting in the best interest of the people of South Africa, but instead chose to line their own pockets or to benefit their own networks around this particular issue. I want to pay tribute this morning as well to the brave journalists at News 24 and other news outlets who have doggedly pursued this particular matter. News 24's series called Mashatile Unmasked has traced the money, it has followed the connections in various locations, and I think has done exceptional work in bringing this matter to the public's attention. Just as the work of Woodward and Bernstein in the United States was instrumental in exposing the Watergate scandal, so too should the work of journalists in South Africa not be ignored. And that is why we are taking the next step today by laying criminal charges. In addition to this, we are seeking an appointment with the Hawks, who are already involved in an investigation into several other matters relating to the Deputy President, and we will seek to supplement their particular case with the matters that we've outlined in a charge sheet. We've converted all of the allegations that emerge from the journalists' expose of the Deputy President, but also some of the work that we've been doing around getting to the bottom of some of these things that have happened. And these have now been turned into a formal charge sheet, which will be lodged with the SABC. We believe that it is in the interests of South Africa for the President Ramaphosa to break his silence about his deputy. He cannot continue to act as if nothing is wrong and everything is all right. This is a huge scandal that is enveloping the presidency. You cannot stand before the nation at a State of the Nation address and talk about combating corruption and getting to the bottom of graft and eliminating state capture in the country when the very person occupying the office across from you at the Union buildings has himself got this serious cloud over his head, and that 97 of your own colleagues remain without any consequence for the exposure and the incredible work done at the Zondo Commission to get to the bottom of state capture. If we want to root out corruption and maladministration in South Africa, and we want a clean government, well then we need to be committed to it, not just talking about it, but doing it. And that is why in the DA's blueprint for rescuing South Africa, which I announced last week, we said that within the first 100 days of a new government taking office, with the DA at the heart of it, that we would introduce our Scorpions 2.0 bill. The Scorpions 2.0 bill would see a recreation of a multidisciplinary anti-corruption team that would be able to get to the bottom of serious corruption and crime in South Africa. The original Scorpions were disbanded for no other reason that they were far too successful in their prosecution and detection of serious corruption, and they started to get far too close to the people at the top of the ladder occupying political office. And that is why they were disbanded. Our new Scorpions 2.0 bill would see a Chapter 9 status been given to them, which means that they would require a full 2/3 majority of Parliament to disband them. That means that no matter how inconvenient they would be to any government in South Africa, they would be able to act without fear and favour. I end by saying that we would not be sitting here today having to lay these charges against Deputy President Paul Mashatile had President Ramaphosa kept the promise that he made to South Africa about lifestyle audits. At the beginning of his term, he promised the nation and Parliament that every member of his executive would be subjected to lifestyle audits. These lifestyle audits would require ministers to explain why they were living in massive mansions and driving fancy cars and living a billionaire lifestyle when their salaries did not match that. I maintain that had the President kept his promise to South Africans and not simply once again lied to the people that these lifestyle audits would have been implemented, all of the information in this dossier, had that process been thorough and transparent, would have picked up these gross anomalies that exist between Mr. Mashatile's lifestyle and his income sources. We commit as well to a new government coming into office will make it mandatory that people undergo lifestyle audits before they assume office in any new executive. And this is done to ensure that once and for all, we uproot corruption and maladministration in South Africa. We seriously fight corruption. We ensure there are consequences for those who perpetrate corrupt acts, and that we set out a very clear deterrent and consequence framework for those who wish to be involved in corruption, and let them know that it will not be tolerated in South Africa. You will never root out corruption in its entirety. There's no nation in the world that has been able to achieve that. But what you can do, and those countries that have been most successful in combating corruption have done, is set out a consequence framework that ensures that people are held accountable when they are detected. That is what we hope to bring to South Africa after this election, and it's very, very clear that the President will not act against the corrupt around him and his own cabinet table, and that is why it's important that we take this action today to ensure that it's done. We wish it had been different. We wish the President had the courage to announce that he was undertaking an investigation, that he was submitting Mr. Mashatile to a lifestyle audit, but once again he's chosen not to act, and we now have to step into that. And obviously we will pursue this case with vigour and determination until this investigation is completed and we have findings in this regard. Thank you.
Cool. We'll be back after we have made the charges in trial.
All right, that's the DA Leader John Steenhuisen outside the Cape Town police station where the DA is currently filing criminal charges of corruption against the Deputy President Paul Mashatile.